Now this is how you cast a film. Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 ensemble casts in movies ever. For this list, we're looking at the best ensemble casts in film based on their chemistry, performances, and how much they bring to the movies in general.
This one time I'll let you ask me about my affairs.
Number 20, Inception. This film tells the mind-bending story of a group of people trying to implant an idea in a man's head by entering his dreams.
We need to find a way to translate this into an emotional concept.
How do you translate a business strategy into an emotion?
That's what we're here to figure out, right?
With a premise like that, Inception could have very easily wound up a confusing mess in the hands of a less competent director. Or had he been armed with a lesser cast.
Because it's never just a dream, is it? And a face full of glass hurts like hell when you're in it. Feels real.
And while some argue that it's still rather confusing, at least those who struggle to keep up can still enjoy the performances of these great actors. Inception is definitely the story of Cobb, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, but he is surrounded by a talented ensemble, including Michael Caine, Cillian Murphy, Ellen Page, Tom Hardy, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, whose interpersonal dynamics, while not the focus, are still wonderfully entertaining to watch. Number 19, Murder on the Orient Express. There have been a couple of adaptations of Agatha Christie's murder mystery novel set on a train, but we ultimately went with this Academy Award-nominated version from 1974, with Albert Finney as Inspector Poirot, and passengers played by big names like Lauren Bacall, Sean Connery, Ingrid Bergman, and Michael York. This whodunit certainly boasts a killer cast.
Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen.
Only God's forgiveness is important.
Ich möchte meine Prinzessin benachrichtigen.
Together, these talented actors bring to life characters who at once entertain and arouse suspicion, while Poirot and the audience try to unravel the mystery.
That's a bloody irregular question.
I know, but I ask it.
Miss Debenham is not a woman. She's a lady.
Which precludes her from being a murderer.
Many get their own time to shine individually, but the scenes in which they're gathered together in the same room are particularly brilliant, with accusations and revelations coming fast and heavy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to my own reconstruction of the night of the murder. Or the night of the red herrings.
Number 18, Bridesmaids. Jealousy and disaster have rarely been so funny.
Oh, look at that. It's my fiancé calling.
Oh, your fiancé.
Hey, baby, what's up?
Yay! Yay!
It's Annie. I just told her. Yeah, she's so happy.
No, I'm not.
When Annie is tasked with being maid of honor at her best friend's wedding, she and the other bridesmaids become involved in an increasingly outlandish and embarrassing series of events.
Lillian,
Oh, no.
where are you going?
I need a bathroom.
Oh, no. Oh, where are you going? Oh, be careful. What are you doing?
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It happened.
Led by Kristen Wiig, this comedy features some fantastic comedic performances, from mainstays like Maya Rudolph, Melissa McCarthy, and Ellie Kemper, to actresses like Rose Byrne, who, up to this point, was better known for her dramatic roles. Suffice it to say, she rose to the occasion. Together, they play off one another to help make each new gut-busting scene all the funnier. You will certainly never think of airplanes or bridal shops the same way again. Number 17, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. When a group of strangers learns from a dying man that 350 grand in stolen cash is buried in a state park, a mad dash ensues to see who can claim it first.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see now. As I understand it, I got one share for being one person, one share for going down the hill, one share for the truck, and one share for being a person in the truck. But no matter how you figure it out, I still don't get as much as anybody else.
The madcap misadventures that disparate characters get into along the way are often absurd, but they're sold by the performances of this star-studded cast. This is a film jam-packed with big names of classic Hollywood, including Spencer Tracy, Edie Adams, Buddy Hackett, and Jonathan Winters. And that's just the main cast. The film also features cameos from seemingly every big name of the time. Whoever's idea it was must have been mad themselves, in the best way.
Yeah, but if we find all the money first and we turn it in, then we'll all be in the clear.
So, let's just get the dough and worry about the rest later.
Number 16, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. If there's a funnier movie about immature news anchors in the 1970s, we have not seen it.
It's Channel 4 News at 6 o'clock.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world tonight.
Starring Will Ferrell as the titular anchorman, the film follows the misadventures of Ron and his news team, with a particular focus on Ron's turbulent romantic life, which inevitably upends his career.
I know that one day, Veronica and I are going to get married on top of a mountain. And there's going to be flutes playing and trombones and flowers and garlands of fresh herbs.
The core cast is made up of comedic powerhouses, including Paul Rudd, Christina Applegate, and a then relatively unknown Steve Carell. There are also a ton of cameos in one of cinema's most memorably bizarre fight scenes.
Rule number 1. No touching of the hair or face.
Chock full of more quotable lines than you can throw a trident at, Anchorman is a comedy for the ages, and it wouldn't be half as funny without its hilarious cast. Number 15, Magnolia. While we considered choosing director Paul Thomas Anderson's other ensemble film set in LA, Boogie Nights, we ultimately went with his later work Magnolia instead.
Yeah! Okay, well, that is what I wait for. I wait for those calls. And I wait and I pray, and sometimes Jesus says, Jim, I got a surprise for you today.
The film follows the lives of interconnected people as they undergo trying events. Although at times strange and bizarre, there is a scene where frogs fall from the sky after all. Magnolia is still a film about humanity, and it succeeds in no small part thanks to its cast's standout performances.
I don't want him to die. I didn't love him when we met, and I did so many bad things to him that he doesn't know. I mean, things that I want to confess to him, but now I do. I love him.
Between Philip Seymour Hoffman, Julianne Moore, and what may be a career best from Tom Cruise, this is a film that's worth watching for the acting alone. Number 14, The Breakfast Club. While this film might have the smallest cast on our list, it does have quality over quantity going for it.
You have exactly 8 hours and 54 minutes to think about why you're here, to ponder the error of your ways. And you may not talk.
The Breakfast Club follows a group of 5 teenage students in detention as they butt heads with each other over their own preconceptions before ultimately coming together.
Man, I consider you guys my friends. I'm not wrong, am I? No. So on Monday, what happens?
Are we still friends, you mean?
Judd Nelson, Emilio Estevez, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy, and Anthony Michael Hall are all fantastically relatable as teenagers struggling with expectations others have for them, while Paul Gleason, as the assistant principal, is the quintessential authority figure. Together, this cast embodies characters that nearly anyone can connect to. Number 13, The Royal Tenenbaums. Wes Anderson is a director known for bringing together great ensembles, and while the Grand Budapest Hotel was in the running, the Royal Tenenbaums remains the bar by which his other casts are judged. The film depicts the eponymous extended family, whose 3 children struggle with failure, as well as their complicated relationships with their father.
What do you propose to do?
I can't say, really. Make up for lost time, I suppose. First thing I want to do is take you out to see your grandmother at some point.
Haven't been out there since I was 6.
I haven't been out there at all. I was never invited.
Well, she wasn't your real grandmother.
The cast is a star-studded one, including Gene Hackman, Danny Glover, Ben Stiller, Gwyneth Paltrow, Owen Wilson, Angelica Houston, Bill Murray, and narration from Alec Baldwin.
He was a prominent litigator until the mid-'80s, when he was disbarred and briefly imprisoned. No one in his family had spoken to him in 3 years.
But what really makes the cast so remarkable is how much like a real dysfunctional family they seem, even if their squabbles are larger than life. Number 12, Chicago. Though it's sadly the only musical to make our list, Chicago definitely deserves the honor.
It's just a noisy hall where there's a nightly brawl, and all there's jazz.
Velma finds herself in need of the assistance of defense attorney Billy Flynn after she murders her cheating husband. Soon enough, however, her place in the spotlight is challenged by Roxy, played by Renee Zellweger, who lands herself in prison for a similar crime. Flynn winds up taking on her case as well, and an unlikely competition ensues as they battle for headlines.
He had strength and she had none.
And yet we both reach for the gun. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, we both, oh yes, we both, oh yes, we both reach for the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun. Oh yes, we both reach for the gun, for the gun.
The big names in the cast, such as Richard Gere, Renee Zellweger, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and John C. Reilly, all drew award nominations. And the film helped to revive movie musicals in general, with its show-stopping, toe-tapping performances. Number 11, GoodFellas. Although director Martin Scorsese has worked with some great ensemble casts recently for films like The Irishman and The Departed, for our money, his best group of actors has to be in GoodFellas.
50, 60,000. It's gonna be a good summer.
Depicting the rise and fall of gangster Henry Hill, as well as the lives of his family and fellow gangsters, GoodFellas is one of cinema's most celebrated crime films.
You know, we always called each other GoodFellas. Like you'd say to somebody, "You're gonna like this guy, he's all right. He's a good fella, he's one of us." You understand? We were good fellas, wise guys.
And while Scorsese's masterful direction is a large part as to why, the stellar actors bring it all together, from the iconic trio of Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Ray Liotta, to supporting players like Lorraine Bracco, Paul Sorvino, and even Samuel L. Jackson. Number 10, Avengers: Infinity War. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has changed movies forever with its unprecedented crossovers. However, it hit a new high with this film.
Reality is often disappointing. That is, it was. Now, reality can be whatever I want.
When the galactic conqueror Thanos seeks to acquire stones of cosmic power that will enable him to commit genocide on an unimaginable scale, heroes from Earth and elsewhere band together to combat him. Dozens of stars from Marvel's biggest franchises are brought together for a superhero film of a scale unseen prior to its release. Although not every character gets their due, there are several standout performances, and simply seeing Marvel's massive cast of characters come together in a single film is mind-boggling.
Wakanda forever!
Number 9, 12 Angry Men. Unquestionably the definitive drama about a jury, 12 Angry Men depicts the deliberations of a dozen jurors in a murder trial.
Listen to the testimony. You've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies in this case. It's now your duty to sit down and try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. Another man's life is at stake.
Nearly the entire runtime is focused on the arguments between the characters about the defendant's potential guilt or innocence. Since we don't even learn most of the jurors' names, the actors' performances are how they distinguish themselves. And it's their perspectives and body language that make the characters feel so real.
Aren't you asking us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm just saying a coincidence is possible.
And I say it's not possible.
Where did that come from?
With heavyweights of the time like Henry Fonda, Jack Klugman, and Lee J. Cobb in the cast, sure enough, they deliver timeless performances that people still reference many decades later.
I'm telling you, I've got all the facts here. Here. Well, that's it. That's the whole case.
Number 8, Saving Private Ryan. There were plenty of war movies that could have made this list, but while some of them might be superior films, we would argue that Saving Private Ryan has the most impressive cast.
Who's in command here? You are, sir! Sergeant Horvath! Sir! You recognize where we are? Wherever we're supposed to be, but no one else is!
The story of a squad's attempts to rescue a single private during World War II. The movie features big names for the time like Tom Hanks, but also character actors like Adam Goldberg and Tom Sizemore. Others would go on to make their mark in the future like Bryan Cranston and Nathan Fillion. And let's not forget Matt Damon in the title role, 1 year after the release of Good Will Hunting.
It doesn't make any sense, sir. Why? Why me? Why do I deserve to go? Why not any of these guys? They all fought just as hard as me.
Steven Spielberg probably could have made this an epic movie without this cast, but it was all the grander for having them. Number 7, the Harry Potter franchise. The tale of the titular teenage wizard's school years and his fight against evil has enchanted fans the world over.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
A wizard. And a thumping good one, I'd wager, once you trade up a little.
And while the filmmakers did an incredible job of capturing the magic of J.K. Rowling's world visually, what truly drew people in were the characters and the actors who brought them to life. When it comes to the cast, it's probably easier to list the British actors who aren't in the Harry Potter movies. The franchise jump-started the careers of its young stars and paired them with some of the most acclaimed thespians Britain's ever seen.
Identification?
I hardly think that would be necessary.
The involvement of these talented performers gave tremendous weight to an already inspiring story and helped even more people connect with it.
Harry's heart did beat for us. For all of us. It's not over.
Number 6, The Godfather. One of the titans of cinema, The Godfather is a natural pick for just about any list on the best of anything in movies.
You don't offer friendship. You don't even think to call me Godfather. Instead, you come into my house on the day my daughter's to be married and you ask me to do murder. Money.
Depicting the end of Vito Corleone's reign as the godfather of his crime family and the rise of his son Michael as the new one, it's a tale of family and corruption. Led by powerful performances from Marlon Brando and Al Pacino, the cast also features actors who are now veterans, such as Robert Duvall, James Caan, and Diane Keaton in important supporting roles.
How long have you been back?
I've been back a year. Longer than that, I think. It's good to see you, Kate.
The Godfather changed movies, and these actors changed the way a lot of us see acting.
You're my older brother, and I love you. But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again. Ever.
Number 5, the Oceans trilogy. Ocean's 11 may be a remake, but its cast is even more stellar than the original.
You gotta be nuts, too. And you're gonna need a crew as nuts as you are. Who do you got in mind?
A heist film that follows Danny Ocean's crew attempting to rob 3 casinos in one night, Ocean's 11 has an ensemble cast of colorful actors playing even more colorful criminals.
We're just supposed to walk out of there with $150 million in cash on us without getting stopped?
Yeah.
George Clooney, Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, Carl Reiner, Bernie Mac, Don Cheadle, we could go on. All these fantastic actors come together to deliver one of the most entertaining and rewatchable movies ever made through their great performances and excellent chemistry. It's really no wonder the first film received 2 sequels. Number 4, Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino is another director famous for his fantastic ensembles, and Pulp Fiction is possibly his finest ever.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Chronicling several disastrous and often bloody events in the lives of interconnected criminals in LA, Pulp Fiction is blessed with a phenomenal cast that includes Bruce Willis, John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, Harvey Keitel, and Christopher Walken, to name a few.
No, man, I ain't you're gonna give it a shot. You're gonna give it a shot. I ain't giving her the shot. I never done this before. I ain't never done it before either, all right? I ain't starting now.
Watching such a talented group of performers delivering Tarantino's trademark heightened dialogue is an absolute delight. And it's part of what makes some fans consider the film his masterpiece.
Whose motorcycle is this?
It's a chopper, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Number 3, Seven Samurai. As tempted as we were to include the Magnificent Seven on this list, ultimately we decided to choose the film upon which it's based, Seven Samurai. The epic tale of 7 rogue samurai hired to protect a village from bandits, this film has spawned countless imitators, but none can match the original. While the exceptional direction by Akira Kurosawa is a large part of it, his cast, which includes some of the most prolific and accomplished actors in Japanese cinema, deserves plenty of credit too. The samurai and villagers' relationships that grow over the impressive runtime are all played to perfection, and will have you feeling very emotional by the movie's conclusion. Number 2, the Star Wars franchise. Come on, it's Star Wars.
We come out of hyperspace with a meteor shower, some kind of asteroid collision. Not on any of the charts. What's going on?
Our position's correct, except no Alderaan.
This epic space opera franchise about the battle between good and evil has an equally impressive ensemble of actors, whether they appeared in it a long, long time ago or in a time far, far more recent.
The boy will not pass the Council's test, Master. He's too old.
Anakin will become a Jedi, I promise you.
It's launched the careers of young stars like Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Daisy Ridley, and featured experienced actors like Alec Guinness, Liam Neeson, and Forrest Whitaker throughout its various sagas. The Star Wars universe is vast, but it's the people in it and the actors who portray them that will be with us always. You know it's an impressive list when Star Wars is only number 2. So any clue what could beat it? I figure there's about a 50-50 chance it's one of your favorites, so let's look through the very honorable mentions, and then we'll see the most impressive ensemble movie cast ever in action.
Oh! Delicious! You! Better eat the green one? Okay. What's this one's name? Well, not Wanda anyway.
Harlan was cleaning house. Everyone in the family has possible motives.
Was Harlan planning on cutting off Joni?
Did he plan to fire Walter?
Did you do this?
No.
So, brave knights, if you do doubt your courage or your strength, come no further, for death awaits you all with nasty big pointy teeth.
What an eccentric performance.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, The Lord of the Rings trilogy. The epic fantasy trilogy to rule them all, The Lord of the Rings follows a band of heroes as they attempt to destroy a magical ring by venturing right into a lion's den.
One of you must do this.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
Boasting an ensemble cast from across the globe, these films made careers for many of its stars. But the fact that the actors managed to ground such fantastical characters with emotive and passionate performances is what makes them truly special. Furthermore, that so many of them became friends during the long shoot, with some even getting matching tattoos, is a true testament to just how much of themselves they put into this fellowship.
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
I could do that.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.